but also the work that the city staff do at the waste dump. This is important. We can't turn the clock back. Pardon me for saying this, but Regina is very far behind, I would argue, behind other municipalities when it comes to environmental initiatives and recycling. We can't afford to go backwards here, especially if our dump is going to be increasingly looked at and eyed by neighboring municipalities. In terms of communication in the school program, and I'll lump these two together, this was actually quite transformative for me as a kid. In the 1980s, learning about acid rain, about recycling, sadly took decades before many municipalities in Saskatchewan kind of caught on. I was a big part of harassing my parents to just entertain the notion of recycling. Children play a huge role in motivating this. There's a generational impact. And I say that with some sincerity. That outreach, after I talked with an excellent city staff person who's designated to work with Emterra, in many municipalities in Ontario, the education component is instrumental in advancing waste diversion programs. Instrumental. Politically, but also in actually getting people to use the existing infrastructure. We can't go back on that. Again, we're turning the clock backwards here. This is why I'm asking for Council's support in removing these 4 items from the current list of cuts. And if I could ask administration again, can you please give me the total costs associated with this, just to make sure that everybody in the audience here can hear the math, and what this is equivalent in terms of a mill rate increase?
Mr. Holden?
Through you, Your Worship, the total is $660,000. And just to point out that the summer suite in the downtown, the elimination of that was an ongoing, where the other 3 were one time. But the $660,000 is the equivalent of 0.31% on the node.
Great, thank you. The councilors heard from me on why I think we need to keep this going. Yeah, we can't turn the clock back. This is incredible work that's being done by the city, and we can't let this go. I know a lot of it happens behind the scenes, but I encourage council to support this.
Thank you, Councilor Stevens. Speakers to the amendment. Councilor Flego.
Thanks. I'm in support of this because it's shortening this list of cuts. And one of the things I'm in favor of is because when we first started the recycling program, we spent, I don't know how much money, but every time I turned around, it was about the 3 R's, the 3 R's. And I can't remember what the third one is, but reuse, recycle, what's the third one? Reduce? Reduce. Anyway, I couldn't remember the third one, but we got that hammered in us, pamphlets, TV, everything. We're finally getting a level of service that the recycling side is coming better. Emterra is helping us out with that. All kinds of things. I think they're at a 15% garbage rate of things that have gone out to them, and they have to take it back to the 9%. I forget what the number is. Did somebody clarify that for me? What's the garbage rate that goes from Emterra to the dump?
Ms. Gazmo?
Your Worship, it's 10%.
10%. When they first started, it was probably 40% was going to the garbage, because people just didn't know. And through programs of like recycling communication, et cetera, it changed that, which, if you think about it, probably saved us more than $100,000 in terms of, because every time something went to the dump, we paid Emterra back, or they paid us less. I can't remember who paid which, but anyway, the billing that we get is now 90% dollars to us, as opposed to 60%. So whatever that number is, I'm sure it's well worth the $100,000 that we're spending. So the downtown suite, I have to disagree with Councilor Stevens. Regina's not a dirty city, but in the springtime it's very dusty. And we need to get that clean. And we need our residents to also take a look, because we're still seeing people drive around throwing garbage out the window and it blows out. And then I've gotten a call, and I did a story on it a couple of years ago, and they said, how do we go after the big box stores for all the paper bags that are around and the plastic bags that are stuck in the grocery stores? Well, I said to the media, I said, it's not the stores that are going out, walking out the door and throwing it up in the air, blowing it around. It's the residents of the city. So we need everybody to take a little bit of a caution when it comes to garbage, and that'll help everything in this whole downtown cleaning, residential cleaning, peripheral cleaning around the outside of the city. It all has to do with us doing a better job as citizens. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Flego. Councilor Young, do you have any comments on this?
I certainly think that I don't like to see recycling communication stopped or outreach improved. But if I heard correctly, this is a one-time thing, it's not ongoing. So if we start picking things off of that list, there are several that I have concerns about. One is asphalt, because I don't like to see anything that might help our roads be fixed to be cut at all. But I realize that we do have to cut some things right now, and that we have more to look at for next year, and we will have other ways of looking at this. So I don't think I will support this motion.
Thank you, Councilor Young. Other speakers on the amendment? Councilor Masnali?
Through your chair. I also noticed a lot of people called me with the size of the collection bin now at the house to eliminate the 8-yard waste. I think if you move backwards, we've already altered the size of garbage pickup we do. We took steps down towards the program to turn our tail now into one different direction. We'll be shoestringing our residents. The summer sweep, I think it's necessary. We should have pride in our city. We should have pride in where we live. I think we're going to take the show. Yeah, I have to agree. We do a lot better as recyclers. A lot of residents have voiced that recycling program is indeed very well taken in. I think that's part of the communication problem. To ignore it just to help build the problem we have already. So once again, I'll support this.
Thank you, Councilor Masnali. Councilor Hawkins.
Thank you, Your Worship. Like Councilor Young, I'm a bit concerned that we'll upset the balance of the proposal before us if we start going down the list and picking off items one by one. All of the items listed here, as Councilor Stevens has mentioned, are important items. They all matter to me too. But the reality is, we're here to make some hard decisions. And when I look at the things that can possibly be cut, even if reluctantly, these items fall into that category. Summer sweep, I think we can do without one summer sweep, without any summer sweep each year. Collection depot program, this is a program that's very valuable, but I think people will learn to dispose of these goods in other ways from the collection depot. And then the last two, recycling communication and public outreach to schools. This doesn't mean that communication about recycling will stop. The city can still issue press releases, which can be used to get its message out. The city still has a website, which can be used to get its message out. And as for the outreach to the schools, I have every confidence in the teachers in our school that they will continue to make the point about recycling. So these items are important, they hurt, but we're going to suffer some hurt tonight if we're going to get to the kind of reduction that the province has imposed upon us. For that reason, I don't want to upset the balance here. I don't want to get into picking and choosing down the list. I will not support this motion.
Thank you, Councilor Hawkins. Next speaker on the list is Councilor Regina.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a couple of questions for administration. So now with recycling, can I ask what is the for communication? What do we spend right now, and how do we do it?
Ms. Casewell.
Through Your Worship, I'm going to ask Ms. Legault to come up to help with some of the questions with some of the detailed information on the program. Thank you.
Through you, Your Worship, the $100,000 represents 50% of the communication budget for recycling. So it is spent on a number of initiatives, primarily the media buy for the program, as the city manager mentioned, Recycle the Right Stuff. It also is advertising for the collection depots. And any other initiatives that we have throughout the year that we feel requires a broader audience, which we can reach through TV and radio, newspaper.
Thank you, through your worship. So is there any other advertising we do, any other budget through recycling at all, or is this it? The whole city, this is what we do for recycling, is the $100,000?
Mr. Gold, I think she said this is half the budget, so. Mr. Gold?
Through you, your worship, as the city manager mentioned earlier, we do reach out through our website and social media. We also use PSAs and any other vehicle that's available to us to get communication out to the public.
Okay. Thank you for that. I too feel very strongly that we are very, very behind in Regina in our recycling. And what I mean by that is it's more in the education. I still talk to people today and they still do not know what is allowed to be recycled. There are still people throwing those white bags in the recycle bin. And honestly, and it's just education. And that is when I went to tour the recycle with Mterra, and they were, our city staff there gave us a tour, and Ms. Legault was excellent, so I want to thank you for that. But that is a huge piece, and we did talk about that education is key. And if we want to make any changes of moving forward, and that's something that we talked about, I think that's one thing that I think we for sure need to keep. And I, as well, for students, I remember my son coming home and telling me about recycling a few years ago. I mean, quite a few years ago. And that's how we got started. It was through the children that how important our earth is. So I think that's something that I don't want to stop either. So I do want to support this. I just want to wait to see how we decide how we're going to fund it. But thank you. I think this is good.
Thank you, Councilor Garcia. Councilor O'Donnell.
Andrew, very compelling arguments. Thanks for that. I want to go back to when we introduced curbside recycling to the city of Regina. And at that time, and you'll notice also in the appendix, that we openly talked about we have to get to a point where we don't have garbage pickup all the time, and that people have to start making choices. And so one of the things that's in the appendix of the recommendation is that we alter solid waste collection to a bi-weekly schedule in the wintertime. There are other communities in Saskatchewan, actually beyond Saskatchewan, that do that. And I'm going to take it that from there there's a practical approach. Don't have garbage all the time in the wintertime. I better look more at recycling. Maybe I have an onus to look into what can be recycled and take responsibility for that. With that, I can't support it this time because of this year. We'll look at it in the future.
Thank you, Councilor O'Donnell. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I've got a couple questions for administration on this one, but I'll talk about it first. So the summer sweep elimination for downtown, we do currently have a spring sweep beforehand. Now this would be a summer sweep. Now, we heard from Regina Downtown Big that they would attempt to try and pick up the slack for this one year. The other two items at the lower edge here, recycling communication and recycling public outreach, I understand the need for them, although they're not tangible in my mind this year because they don't directly affect what we're looking at. The next one that I am concerned about is our collection depot program, and because of that I want to ask, where do these items go to if we eliminate this?
Mr. Holden.
Through your worship, the risk is that these will go to landfill. Stressing landfill because there really aren't any other options. The other risk, of course, is that people would choose to dump materials in vacant lots, etc.
Okay. So the challenge here is that if we eliminate this, people are going to be forced to send these items to the landfill.
Or something that they believe is,
And you'll want people to do.
Mr. Holden.
I'll ask Ms. Legault to add further comment.
Ms. Legault.
Through you, Your Worship, the city manager is correct with regards to the leaf and yard waste. Currently, the material collected through the depot program is diverted to a composting facility just outside the city that turns the material into nutritionally rich compost, and then is sold to the public sector. With regards to the household hazardous waste, there is actually no collection or disposal available to anyone in the province with regards to household hazardous waste without going through a hazardous waste collection and disposal company. So the material that we collect through our household hazardous waste is handled by a company out of Saskatoon. The material is then disposed of environmentally. Our concern with household hazardous waste, as the city manager said, is the disposal of the material in the landfill. Most hazardous waste that we receive are liquid waste, and our concern is for disposal through the domestic and storm sewers.
Thanks for that. My last question is going to be, are there private enterprises that can take these through? That's what I gathered. Mr. Knoll?
There are some private companies that take specific items such as used engine oil, but it is not as broad as ours, which takes in things like solvents and pesticides and other materials that are hazardous both through landfill disposal or wastewater disposal.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to put forward a amendment to